everybody. Rachel from School Psych Podcast, and we are here today just to chat a little bit of a quick impromptu interview with Eric, who is School Psychologist of the Year from Connecticut. So we're really excited. We've been kind of teasing him a little bit and calling him SPOTY. But I wanted to kind of more formally introduce Eric to you guys, even though I know everybody's familiar with him from the podcast. But Eric Elias is a 29-year practicing school psychologist in Connecticut and 2018 Connecticut School Psychologist of the Year. Eric's a member of NASPA's Communications Committee, an author and a musician, and father of 3 beautiful teenagers. Eric went to Bucknell University for his graduate degree in school psychology and recently became credentialed as a diplomate in school neuropsychology. So, Eric, we got a couple questions for you. We're going to turn it over to Rebecca.
Yes, Eric, and Eric is very modest. For those of you who don't know him well, when he was presented with this award for Connecticut School Psychologist of the Year, his faculty and the presenter and his intern had the most beautiful things to say about him, and they were all in sync. They all agree that he is one of the most caring, gifted professionals with the most humility. So you're not going to hear it from him, but you'll hear it from me. So Eric, we were wondering, as SPOTY, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the field of school psychology?
Well, first of all, we'll say thank you to both of you and to Anna, who's not here, but I won't introduce myself as Anna's sub today since we're chatting with me, but I'm honored to get to work with you guys. I really am, and honored to get to be a part of CASP, Connecticut's association, and NASP. And the field, 29 years is a long time. It's kind of funny. As I've crossed into my 50s not too long ago, the field has changed a lot. Initially back in the late 80s when I was training, it was we did a couple of tests, WJ achievement and a WISC-R cognitive. And it was discrepancy approach to identifying specific learning disability. The science in that piece of our education, I think, was young. It's grown a lot. I mean, there was a lot of research in cognitive psychology prior to that, but the iteration of our tests has really grown, and CHC theory and a number of things that have influenced how our tests are developed and utilized, and sometimes controversial, has really blossomed in the last 20 years. So I find that aspect in the field pretty fascinating, and I would encourage anyone in, wherever you are in your field to do what Gary Canavay, I think so eloquently encouraged us, is to know our tests and to know what they do and to accurately interpret them. So being very aware of what we're capable of doing with our tests. And to that, I add a funny quote. And this is, I think, attributed to Mark Twain, but I actually think it was Josh Billings who said this, the 19th century satirist. But I'll paraphrase it. It says something like, "It's not what we think we know that gets us in. It's not what we know that gets us into trouble. It's what we think we know that just ain't so." And I value that humorous quote because we often make assumptions in our field, and this can lead us to perhaps misdiagnosing or misidentifying students' needs, or not providing the appropriate or effective support. So I think about that it goes along to me with the actuarial sort of style of interpretation, that we really need to know our tests and do our best to interpret them accurately.
Mm-hmm. Well said. So I'm going to follow up with another question then. Just, do you have any words of wisdom for those of us who are not at our 29th year?
Well, in jest, we were saying, just keep swimming, as Nemo or Dory or somebody said. A lot of things, I think, affect longevity in the field, and I do think we are at a place of crisis. In terms of losing people in the field or not being able to retain people in the field. so I think in some respects, being aware of self-care needs to, you know, maintain our position in a very busy field, and to a field that has high burnout rate and high attrition, is probably something that requires a sense of refocus and redirection on a regular basis, and a sense of really knowing how to provide self-care, how to support one another, how to take care of ourselves, how to wind down at the end of the day, how to not overburden our family members with complaints if we're stressed out, and perhaps, you know, knowing how to structure our leisure time in a way that it really feeds us and pays off, and perhaps knowing how to, or learning how to interrelate with our colleagues in a way that is mutually supportive. It feeds us, it feeds them. So find ways to do that. I think that really contributes to maintaining our careers in a what is pretty much a stressful field on a regular basis. But it's also so worth it. And the quote I gave at my Connecticut speech was from William Penn. And this really sort of feeds me and motivates me. And this is, I expect to pass through this life but once. If therefore there be any kindness I can show, or any good thing I can do to any fellow being, let me do it now and not defer or neglect it, as I shall not pass this way again. And really that, I try to remind myself of that on a regular basis, and try to continue to find my motivation for doing what I do. And that really is the compassion for the kids and their families, and you know, trying my best to bring kindness to them every day, and to the staff that I work with as well.
Well said.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Spotty. And you can catch Spotty here on School Psych Podcast. You have any questions for him? He's a wonderful supporter of our field, and for people like me who are still figuring things out. So collaborate with us on Facebook and on Twitter.
Yes.
And we're happy. We're so happy that Spotty is a school team member, and we're happy that you all are here too.
So I'm proud to work with you guys, without a doubt. So proud to work with you guys.
We're lucky to have you, and such a well-deserved reward award for you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye, everyone.